Now, I can't judge anybody because you like what you like. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, but we talk about that show that came out in the early 2000s. And of course, when we look at it now, we're traumatized by the things that we saw that these women went through at the hands of Tyra and her fellow producers and the executives at the television station or at the network. But that's the content that people were consuming. It was a top show for 20 plus seasons. Sheesh. Yeah. Everybody want to be in entertainment till it's time to get down to the business. Yeah, Glitz and Ghetto, Glitz and Ghetto, yeah, Glitz and Ghetto, it's Glitz and Ghetto, Glitz and Ghetto, it's Glitz and Ghetto. The Glitz and glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes it really gets ghetto, yeah. Hey, yo. I used to start my morning afterthoughts with those notes and that little riff. Anyway, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Glitz and Ghetto podcast, where the entertainment industry is seemingly glitz and glam, but on the backside, and we release that veil, it's giving glitz and ghetto, glitz and ghetto, yeah, glitz and ghetto, glitz and ghetto. Either way, welcome to another episode of the Glitz and Ghetto podcast. I am your host, Naderah, and I'm super excited to be back with you guys with another episode because last episode, y'all went up for the kid. And I'm so excited about that because my views have not been like top tier, but last episode, y'all really tapped in and tuned in. And I want you to continue to like, share, and subscribe our content because the things that we're doing over here are not just for your entertainment purposes. Obviously, we're going to do that, but it's really educational. And so, being that this is the last episode of Black History Month, I just really want to give y'all a shout out for watching and, sharing the information that was on last episode. And my hope is that we can continue to grow as a community. So if you watched the last episode, if you know a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend and a family member to go ahead to like, share, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And also, just some housekeeping, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Glitz and _ Ghetto. That is GHETTEAUX on Instagram. And then, of course, you could do me the biggest favor and follow me as well. So you can see all the things that I'm doing in the world at I am _ Naderah. That is on Instagram and TikTok. I'm not on any other social media platforms, but that is where you can find me. I'm really excited about today's episode just because I feel like the world is buzzing right now because we have all looked out and looked into what was happening with Tyra Banks and America's Next Top Model. Okay. And I know a lot of us believe that like this woman was a monster, but I just want you to know that like the industry is what it is because when you pull back that veil, you get to see how nasty things can be inside the industry. So my question to you is, you want to be on top? Huh. Well, that has a lot of different meanings to it. But in the entertainment industry, of course, everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants to be the it girl or the it guy. And you see that people are willing to go to crazy heights to achieve those things. Okay. Let's start out by just running down the themes that we saw inside of this documentary. First of all, yes, it was a show that was made for TV. And we know that y'all like drama and chaos on TVs, which is why shows like Jocelyn's Cabaret, Baddies, and heck, even The Real Housewives, any franchise you name, are popular television shows because you get to see the drama and the chaos and the insides of what's happening inside of the lives of people. Hell, social media, y'all follow half of y'all influencers because you want to see what they ate for breakfast. I mean, Casanata is streaming his life for crying out loud, and you guys are tuned into those things. Now, I can't judge anybody because you like what you like. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, but we talk about that show that came out in the early 2000s. And of course, when we look at it now, we're traumatized by the things that we saw that these women went through at the hands of Tyra and her fellow producers and the executives at the television station or at the network. But that's the content that people were consuming. It was a top show for 20 plus seasons. And she's trying to come back and drop us with another one. Tyra, be so for real right now. Like you're playing inside of our faces. And it's just like you only made up this documentary only to reintroduce us to the trauma that you put these girls through, to put on a documentary only so you can promote the next season. Let's be so for real. Let's be so for real. And I know that young girls have watched this docu series on Netflix, and they're gonna be the first people lined up and signed up to go and participate in. And I'm not mad at you because let's be real about it. This is just the nature of the industry. It's the nature of the beast. People live for the chaos and the confusion, which is why this podcast exists. You get to pull back the veil. You get to see the drama and the chaos and the things that happen behind the scene. But I'm bringing this podcast to you not only so you can see the drama and the things that are behind the veil, but so that you're prepared for it. Because nobody told me, nobody told those young women, nobody told those people what they were getting themselves into just so that people can get views, so that the public can be outraged by the content that's being produced and being provided, and all you wanted was exposure. Yeah, let's get into it. So it's not different, what we saw inside of this documentary or this docu-series. It's not different from what we've seen there and what we see inside of today's society. It may not be happening on television per se, but it's happening in social media all the time. People are doing things for clout. People are doing things to slide in someone's DM and to making additional relationships and doing really shady things in order to come up inside of this industry. And that's not a new concept. It's not. And so when we see these things going down on Tyra Banks's America's Next Top Model docu-series, we shouldn't be surprised by it. I mean, I'm sure people are flabbergasted because you would imagine, oh, that wasn't happening in the 90s and the 2000s. Yes, it was going down. It was going down, and actually it's still going on today in different ways, but people are still doing terrible things to one another. This industry is dog eat dog, and that is no different, which brings me to my next point, which is no one is here to do things for your benefit. It's never about you, unfortunately. It's never about you, and that's what this docuseries should have taught you. Okay. Tyra Banks, she started with good intentions. She wanted to show people what it was like on the inside. And I pray to God that I never take my platform and move it in the wrong direction for the sake of views and for the sake of popularity. Like, I really want artists and entrepreneurs within the entertainment space to have a safe place to come to express themselves and to understand how to navigate this industry, because nobody's teaching it. Most people tell you that you have to starve. They tell you that you have to go through terrible situations. They tell you that you have to endure. And I'm not going to lie, I endured a lot of those things. And I feel like, honestly, it's not 100% necessary, because there's a lot of people who don't endure those things and they are successful. It may have taken them a little bit longer. It may have been a different road that they had to take, but you don't have to go through negative and nasty things that compromise your morality or your integrity in order to make it in this industry. And I don't think I've ever done anything to compromise my integrity or go against my own morals, but I do believe that I was presented with a lot of different things. And I feel like I had to pivot and make ways to make myself maneuver through the industry in order to keep who I am as a person. So what I'm here to tell you that is nobody in this industry is here to do things for your benefit. So like I said, Tyra Banks, inside of her documentary, she talked about how she had the good intentions when she started. She wanted people to see the inside of what was going on. And then she portrayed herself to be this sort of mentor to these young, eager models or aspiring models. And it turns out that like they just wanted to make good TV. So they jeopardized the integrity of these girls. They put them in peculiar situations. They did racially insensitive things, had girls in blackface. It was just all these terrible things that were happening to these women on set. And then even after they won the show, that lets you know that no one was really there to see them do things for their benefit. There's a trend going on TikTok and social media right now where people are remaking like, oh, I told Tyra Banks that my mom was, shot in the foot, and now you have to do a photo shoot with blood coming off your foot or like an amputated foot. And it's just like, can y'all be so effing for real? Like, what are we even doing here? Like, you took someone's trauma and put it on camera for your entertainment, for the entertainment of the masses and the people who are watching. And I think that is so absurd. And it happens all the time. And then I think about the one winner of America's Next Top Model. Her name was Danielle. She was from Louisville, Kentucky. beautiful young woman. You know, she was told that she had to get rid of her gap. She still kept a piece of it. I love that she's a strong woman and stood by what she wanted to. But even after she won the show, people weren't messing with her because they thought that she wasn't truly talented because she was on reality TV. And Tyra found out that this young woman was suffering and struggling, trying to make it inside of her career. And she knew about it, but never called to give this woman any help, never gave her any additional insight or anything like that. But to my knowledge, what this show should have taught you was that, like, once the bacon is made, whatever you do is your own business. And to be honest, it wasn't really Tyra's responsibility to do it. Your career is your responsibility. And this is why when I tell people all the time that your career as a professional entertainer is an entrepreneurial pursuit, nobody's just going to hire you and you're going to figure it out. You're going to get paid on a regular every 2 week schedule. You're going to get the retirement. You're going to get the 401k. It doesn't happen that way. Somebody might introduce you to a new opportunity, but baby, let me tell you something. Once you take that opportunity, it is up to you to capitalize upon that and to move it forward into something else. Okay. And then I'm also going to talk about how, in my own personal experience, because I feel like I don't do this enough on the podcast, I feel like I don't talk enough about my own personal experiences with people doing things for their own benefit. So, as a professional triple threat, I'm a dancer, singer, and an actress. I have been up and down the East Coast for the last couple years, just really trying to get my foot on Broadway. And in that pursuit, I have gone on tour with different companies. I've done a few off Broadway shows. I've done a lot of great things, but in one time particular, I just recall I was working on a job, and I'm not going to give specifics because even though the Epstein files are out, baby, I sign NDAs and I respect them. Okay. This is just what it is. But either way, let's get back to the story at hand. I just remember I was working with this project, and there was a lead on this project who was beautiful, archetype very similar to me. You know what I'm saying? And if we were the same level in our careers, we could go for the same roles and it would be tough competition, right? Either way, I just found myself minding my own business on this project, singing and doing my own thing, just trying to make sure I stay grounded, trying to keep my own peace and things of that nature. And there were other parties on this project that felt threatened and intimidated by that. And I lost my job. So it was great that I was around to use that talent and ability to uplift the project. But the moment that someone on the project felt threatened by what my capabilities were, though I had no intentions of doing what they were doing or taking anyone's spot or going out, what is for me is for me. Okay. And my ambition was not even to stay in projects of that caliber because my sights were set on the bright lights of Broadway. So yes, I was booked on this particular project primarily as a dancer. However, yes, when I was on my own and staying in my own little box, making sure I wasn't getting in trouble with nobody, making sure nobody was being harassed by me, by nobody could say Naderah did anything wrong to them. I had my headphones on and I was in the dressing room doing my makeup, doing my hair, getting ready for my performances throughout the duration of that project. And people felt threatened by it. It's unfortunate because that wasn't my intention. But the moment that this person felt like I was a threat to them, or they felt like I wasn't doing things that were beneficial to them and doing things beneficial to myself, i.e., keeping my peace and singing and humming to myself, it didn't work in my favor. And fortunately, I'm the type of person who realizes that this industry is a business. And so I use that opportunity to platformize myself and to continue moving forward. Like, you can't take away my experience because I have it now. Same thing happens for the women that were in this documentary. So when you're watching it, I don't want you to watch it for entertainment value only. I want you to look at it and see what those women did wrong and what you can do differently to navigate this industry better for yourself. Okay. I'm also going to talk about another experience where I was working. One of my castmates was also a very near and dear friend of mine. And this person was on the job and then they got sick. This is at a time like right after COVID. Everybody had to get all these COVID tests and things of that nature. And my friend had a bunch of other friends that were on the job that they were also like super, super tight with. And they had done content together and they, hung out with each other outside of work and job opportunities and stuff like that. But the moment that my friend went missing, nobody mentioned anything in rehearsal. Everybody just went about their days like everything was fine. And so I'm like, okay, this is day 3 that my friend has not been in rehearsal. Let me call this person up and see what's going on, because that's me as a genuine person. I don't move in the snakish ways that this industry can be. I'm not your friend just for the opportunity and what you can do for me, which this episode is about that. People want to be on top. They just care about you as much as you can do for them. Either way, I call this person up and I'm like, yo, I haven't seen you in rehearsal for 3 days. Is everything good? They explained to me they were diagnosed with COVID. They tested for COVID because we kept getting tested. And so this person could no longer do the job because they tested positive for COVID. Now, this person also explained to me that nobody but me on that job had reached out to them to make sure that they were okay. And everybody realized that this person hadn't been in rehearsal for 3, 4 days in a row. Why would nobody say anything? Why would nobody reach out? Why would nobody mention anything? And I get it. You can't blast anyone. But the fact that y'all are all friends and y'all have come up in the industry together and y'all do content together and y'all show all these things on social media like y'all are best of buddies, the moment that this person isn't of value to you on the job, you're not reaching out to them to make sure that they're okay. They're not reaching, out to give them things and check on them. And so you just got to be careful with the relationships that you build in this industry and understand that a lot of them are face value. And you got to take them for what they are and for what they can benefit you for, because everybody else is doing things for what can benefit themselves. And I'm not telling you to be bitter and to walk around and just have this negative, like mean girl, mean guy attitude, which a lot of that is prevalent inside of the industry. As we saw with Tyra and Janice Dickinson and all those people or whatever, the mean girl mentality is prevalent. The mean boy mentality is prevalent. So you don't have to take on that personality, but I do think that you need to be aware that you're in a garden, and in the garden, there are snakes. Okay? So you have to be mindful of those things, okay? Now, on the flip side of this, I'm going to talk about it from Tyra's perspective. Let's take a little commercial break and we'll come right back and we'll talk about Tyra's perspective. I'll see y'all in a bit. The Glitz and Glamour is a setup because behind the scenes, it really gets ghetto. Yeah. Yes, y'all, the Glitz and Ghetteaux podcast is amazing. And if you're tuned in right now, please take the time right now to follow Entertainers Financial. Entertainers Financial is a financial firm that helps entertainers and entrepreneurs, who we like to call entrepreneurs, amass success financially inside of the entertainment industry. We provide bookkeeping services, professional income tax services, whole life insurance, and investments. We can help you to plan out strategically the things that you need to put in place for your family so that you can have the success that you are looking forward to in this lifetime. Now, the industry does not teach you about savings and Roth IRAs and 401ks and life insurance, and it doesn't even give you the tools necessary to adequately file your taxes after you went on a 30-city tour. Entertainers Financial is your friend in the entertainment business that's going to help you get it right. We have served over 500 clients in the last 6 years, and we have helped them to amass over $2.1 million in counting. So join the family, follow entertainers_financial, and shoot us a DM, and we would love to share more information with you. I'm your girl, Naderah, owner and founder of Entertainers Financial, and I want to be a help to you. Now let's get back to the show. Glitz and Ghetteaux. It's Glitz and Ghetteaux. The Glitz and Glamour is a setup because behind the scenes, it really gets ghetto. Yeah, Glitz and Ghetto. It's Glitz and Ghetteaux. The Glitz and Glamour is a setup because behind the scenes, it really gets ghetto. Yeah. Great. So now we're talking about Tyra's perspective. Tyra was a Black woman who was marginalized inside of the entertainment industry as a supermodel. She talks about her position and how people had done negative things to her. And as you could imagine, any person is going to develop a level of thick skin around it. And they're going to figure out, if they're go-getters like that, how do they put themselves on top? How do I put myself in the seat of the driver when this industry has told me time and time again that I'm just a passenger, I'm just a vessel, and I must mend and fold myself to blend into whatever this industry says I have to. And Tyra took it into her own hands, and she started her own show, and she platformized herself, and she made herself even larger than what she was as a supermodel. And I commend her for that. And if there's anything you can take from it, maybe minus like the things that were just distasteful, take that away from her. Learn a lesson from that and see how you can implement that into your own career as a professional entertainer. I know that I have fallen victim to just being a vessel, but even this podcast is me stepping out on faith and producing something for myself. I started Entertainers Financial. That's me producing something for myself. I am also producing camps and pageants and different productions to be able to platformize myself and my brand. And it also helped other people along the way. So I'm not mad at Tyra in her position, but I do know that the industry is such that there's so many people that you have to please, especially producers and investors and everybody that's involved inside of a project, that like ultimately you can have the greatest of intentions, but if the money people are saying, and that's not what we're doing, you just kind of got to go with it, what they're saying. We talked a little bit earlier about how people don't do things for your benefit unless it benefits them. And I just want you to know that like this happens across the board. Whether you're interning for a new production company, they are using your labor and your time and your energy and your eagerness to get things done for free, if it's a free internship, or to pay you pennies on a dollar. Even when we talk about artists and their personal projects, whether it's a concept video, or you're doing content creation collabs, or you're doing free table reads, or you're doing free independent projects for people. Yes, it platformizes you in a certain way and gives you the exposure, but one hand washes the other. Okay. Also, when we talk about agencies, managers, producers, all of those people, yeah, they like you, they love you when the money's rolling in, but they are not pushing you forward unless it's for their own benefit. Everything is a business, so please don't take it personally. And so what I saw inside of the show is that because these girls were such novice to the industry, they thought that everything was in their favor. And it's like, no, you can use this to platformize yourself after it's all said and done, but we don't have to get some things up off of you first before you benefit from it. And it's also good TV. And I think present day reality stars have figured out that magic and that balance, because we look at reality stars from the Real Housewives or Married to Medicine or for these different platforms, and you see that they have found out a way to platformize themselves. And so what's unfortunate is that, those young ladies didn't do the same themselves. And so we see that also happening with the girlies on social media. Not only are they taking the platform, but they're also monetizing it. And that's what you have to do as an artist. Like, I feel bad for the ladies on the documentary who said, oh, the show didn't give me any platform to do anything like that or whatever. But my hope is that if they miss the opportunity the first time, they will find the right way to maximize that opportunity this time. So one of the girls from, I can't remember her name, from one of the previous seasons, like they were trying to pick on her and tell her that she was like too fat or whatever, which obviously she was not fat by any stretch of the imagination, but perhaps in that era, according to body standards, whatever. She turned into a pose coach. Now she's showing up on my timeline. I hope she puts together like pose classes and her platform, just grows even larger. I hope she comes across my timeline even more. I think I followed her right after that, just because like I believe in the power of film, TV, and these exposure opportunities. You know what I mean? And you have to capitalize on the moment. And the last thing that I'm going to say is that this industry is very cutthroat. We've seen evidence of these sort of things happening with like last year with the Diddy case. And even speaking, let's pause for a moment. Let's talk about how the young lady on the documentary, she was essayed and nobody stopped to do anything to help her. And it also brings me to this point. People in the industry will see things happen to you and just let it happen, even if it's to your detriment, if it doesn't impact them negatively or if it works to their benefit. Don't you think that's crazy? That's quite literally the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I'm so sorry to that woman, but I'm also going to speak from my own experience. People will lead you to a dangerous situation and allow it to unfold because it benefits them. I'm telling you, you have to protect yourself in this industry. It is extremely predatory. Extremely, especially on young and impressionable people. And I say that this industry preys on the younger people and tells older people like myself who are seasoned in the industry that we're no good, but they tell us that because you can't manipulate us. You can't piss on me and tell me that it's raining. They tried to convince that girl that she cheated on her boyfriend, and they filmed it and put it in the sense that she cheated on him. They let that girl get essayed on camera. Now I want you to also correlate that to things that happened inside the Diddy case. Everybody in that circle knew what was going on. They knew people were getting taken advantage of, but because it benefited them to be quiet and allow it to just happen, nobody had anything to say. Now all of a sudden, somebody's getting sued and somebody got the tune of $20 million plus. Oh, now everybody has something to say. You only say something because you think that there's a benefit to you. Now, I feel sorry to that woman. I'm so sorry that that happened to her because sexual assault is never something that'll be okay. And unfortunately, it happens all too often in this industry. So I'm telling you, you need to get you some good, solid people around you. The name of this game is networking. And at the end of the day, one hand washes the other. Sometimes in those networking situations, you're going to have to do things for free for your friends because guess what? In return, they're going to do some things for free for you. And I'm not telling you to build these relationships solely on an exchange of resources, but that can be the start of it. But make sure that these people genuinely are rooting for you. And if they're not genuinely rooting for you, if they're just there to take what your resources are, get those squares up out of your circle. Okay? You got to have a core group of people that you trust. And one of the greatest things that I found in my community in Atlanta is that we were really friends. We shared information with each other, and it wasn't just superficial friendship. Like, I still talk to these people from 10 years ago to present day because we are genuinely friends. These people come to me as clients, but even in the midst of our client calls, we kiki and ha-ha and catching up with each other for hours on end. It kind of interrupts my business, but that's what happens when you have genuine friends inside of this industry. And those genuine friends are going to want to see you succeed. You are going to have some of those superficial relationships where people are only there to get something from you, but make sure that if they're consuming from you, you're consuming something from them as well. They got to contribute something to you in order for them to consume. They have to contribute something to you in order to consume from you. Contribution, consumption. Okay? And vice versa. I contributed to you. Now I get to consume something. That's the way community works, period. So if you want to be on top, use this documentary as a learning lesson. Don't frown upon it. See it for what it is. There are elevations and changes happening within the industry simply because of people's ideologies and their exposure to things that are politically correct and anti-bullying and just this new wave of, I don't want to call it sensitivity, but this new wave of awareness that we have that makes people a little bit more sensitive to certain topics and content. And I know we talk all the time about like, oh, this new generation is so weak and so soft and so this. And I disagree. I don't think it's soft. I think it's aware because we were doing a lot of things that were detrimental to people's mental, physical, and emotional health. And I think that now that those things are coming to light, we're being more sensitive to those things so that we can be more aware of how we're treating people and how our actions impact one another. Either way, this episode is getting really long-winded. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Glitz and Ghetto podcast. It is the end of Black History Month. And just like Pavel said, I think I speak for the collective when I say, it's been a long Black History Month, but we shall overcome as we always do. And we will never give up the fight because we always prevail. I love y'all. This has been another episode of the Glitz and Ghetto podcast. Make sure you subscribe, give us 5 stars on Apple, subscribe and share on YouTube. Turn on that notification button so that you know every time we upload a new episode. And on Spotify, make sure you follow the show. give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review. Don't forget that we would love to hear from you guys, the questions that you may have. So please send us an email to glitzandghetteaux@gmail.com. I love y'all so much. This has been an amazing episode, and I hope you learned something. Tell a friend and tell a friend. See you later. Peace.
Sheesh. Yeah. Everybody want to be in entertainment till it's time to get down to the business. Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors. What you can't see behind our public figures. No, you convinced by the glitz and the glam, but let's talk about how it really goes down. The sleepless nights, the sacrifice, your rate of pay, the union strikes. Yeah, they want you to stay in your lane. Got too many talents with your claim to fame. Opportunities unlimited. Look at Naderah. That girl is living it in. She bringing out all of her friends to talk about it so you understand. They talk about all of the noise, all over the blogs and in the tabloids. To teaching the industry lessons they learn, so turn up the volume so you don't get burnt. Film and TV, she does that. Theatrical, she been that. And Glitz and Ghetteaux is our podcast to show you how to achieve that. You were born to entertain, but this ain't for leisure. You came to get paid. The glitz and glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes it really is ghetto. Yeah, glitz and ghetto, glitz and ghetto, yeah, glitz and ghetto, glitz and ghetto. You were born to entertain, but this ain't for leisure. You came to get paid. The glitz and glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes it really is ghetto. Yeah, glitz and ghetto, glitz and ghetto, yeah, glitz and ghetto. It's Glitz and Ghetteaux, Glitz and Ghetteaux, it's Glitz and Ghetteaux. The glitz and glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes it